Hello everybody and welcome to World Mental Health Day. My name is Devika and I am the Time to Change lead here at Mine in West Essex. Today I'm going to share with you a video about ways in which we can be reducing our anxiety and stress levels. I'm going to run through a couple of ways in which you can do that, and then we're going to try something together. These activities are things that you can do on your own, or you can do them with someone else, whether that's a partner, whether that's a friend, whether that's a family member. It won't cost you any money and it will cost you a little bit of time, but I hope that you'll find that they're worth it. The next exercise is a bit random, but that's what I do best. So mindfulness is something we hear a lot about these days, and it's something that I hear particularly about in the ADHD world, in it being something that is quite difficult to do. And being diagnosed with ADHD myself, I know that mindfulness is something that I really struggle with. But this exercise I really like because it kind of comes with instructions and it tells you what you're supposed to be focusing on or thinking about. And I personally find that works really well for me. So for this exercise, you need a raisin. And what we're going to do with this raisin, or date, or sultana, or a piece of banana, something edible, and ideally not too messy for you, is we're going to get in touch with our five senses. So that's our sight, our smell, the sound, touch, and taste. So when you have your raisin, or whatever it is that you've got, I just want you to start by holding it in your hand. I don't have a raisin here with me. No, I don't have anything I can take. But you're going to hold your raisin in your hand, and I just want you to look at it to start with. Just start by just looking at it. Notice the ridges along it. Notice the parts that are slightly different colors. Notice the parts that maybe look a bit more dry or a bit more wet, or notice the way in which the shape is perhaps a bit fatter on one side and a bit skinnier on the other side. Just look at it and really pay attention to what it looks like. And when you feel like you've looked at it so much that you cannot look at it anymore, you're going to move on to the next part, which is to smell it. And with something like a raisin, you might not be able to smell much, but that's okay. We're warming up with this part of the exercise. So I just want you to have a smell of the raisin and just notice, perhaps there is no smell, perhaps it's a very slight one. Or maybe if you rub it between your fingers slightly, when we get to the touch part, you might notice that then more smell comes out of it at that stage. So we're going to skip sound for now because raisins don't make a noise and most food doesn't. But when we pop it in our mouth, we might notice some sounds then. So we're going to move on to that touch. And as I said, perhaps rolling the raisin between your fingers and perhaps pressing it against your skin, perhaps pressing it against your hands in some way, and notice what it feels like. Can you feel the ridges? Is it much firmer than you were expecting or softer than you were expecting? Is it room temperature? Is it cold? Is it warm? Perhaps if it's something like a sultana or a date, it might have a stone in the middle. Noticing those things and keep touching it until you feel like you can't touch it anymore. You might notice the skin starts to break as you're touching it. Just notice that. And then finally, what we're going to do is we're going to pop it in our mouth. But you're not going to bite it. You're not going to chew it. You're not going to eat it just yet. Pop it on your tongue and just notice what it feels like there. Has the smell changed at this point? Are the ridges still there? Are you starting to salivate? Maybe you don't like raisins. Maybe you're feeling disgusted by this raisin in your mouth. That's okay too. Just notice that sensation. And when you're done with that, perhaps just move it around your mouth slightly. And here's where the sound part might come in. You might be able to hear the raisin kind of knocking against your teeth, or your teeth knocking against each other. And that's okay, that's normal. Keep moving it around. You'll notice that perhaps the taste starts to develop slightly. It might become stronger. It might become more luxurious. It might become more overwhelming. Those are all okay because we're just noticing. Once you've rolled it around your mouth and you feel like you've done that part thoroughly, you're then able to kind of start taking bites. Take a couple of bites. Notice the texture, notice the smell, notice the sounds, notice what it feels like in your mouth. And eventually you can swallow the raisin. And it's probably the weirdest way you've ever eaten a raisin in your life, but you've eaten it very mindfully. And now kind of reflect back to the beginning when you first picked up the raisin and all of those things you've learned about it in that space of time. So there you have it. You've now done mindfulness. Great. So a little bit outside the box, but hopefully something that's a little bit helpful, maybe new or different for you to try. I wish you all a fantastic World Mental Health Day, and I hope to catch up with you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.